Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RRTV's live and exclusive coverage once again of Monday Night Lights. Skip Barber's coming to you for round 5 live from Laguna, Seca this evening. Your commentary team tonight, myself, Alex McKellar, and Tim Gorkrocher, looking to bring you all sorts of on-track action here tonight. Timmy.
Yeah, Alex, thanks for having me again. Feeling fresh after a nice week off. Thanks to Tim Awim feeling in. Great job.
Yeah.
Looking at a pretty hot field tonight. 9 of the best Aussies and 10 of the best Aussies and 9 really good drivers from the rest of the world joining us tonight. So looking forward to a good little race.
Yeah, fantastic. Should be an awesome lineup tonight. Yeah, thanks to the Golden Stick for filling in for us last night. He'll be back later on in the season as well, but great to have you back on board, Timmy. So big field tonight here. We've got 19 drivers on track. Strength of field just over 3,000 to 3,126. So certainly amongst the top races of the week, top 5 for the week. So once again, Monday Night Lights bringing some great drivers out, looking to score some valuable championship points and Monday Night Lights series points. Speaking of which, just up on screen at the moment, after 4 rounds, you can see that Ben Snell, leading the local contingent and the overall Monday Night Lights standings, indeed up there in P1, followed by the first of the overseas drivers in Tim Hendrickson and Brad Parkin, another local boy in the top 3, with Daryl Ridley, a stalwart of Monday Night Lights, and Simon Dupe rounding out your top 5. So Ben, I think, is in the field again tonight. No Tim Hendrickson, he had other commitments, and Brad Parkin, I believe, certainly saw him in the previous race, but he looks like he may have just missed out on the top split, which is a shame for him, but certainly he'll be looking to score some good points in the second split, Tim.
Yeah, right on, and well done to Benny for leading the series. Early in the piece, put together a few good rounds. And speaking of Tim Hendrickson as well, sounds like he's got his priorities wrong tonight. He's at university today. Not sure what that's about, but disappointed he's here.
Yeah, it might be something to do with his future, I don't know. But yeah, certainly you're missing out on some good point scoring opportunities here tonight. Also, I noticed no Enzo Cantor, so another regular not here joining us here tonight. And how about I turn on some car sounds so we can hear them? It's not just you and me rabbiting on. That's a bit better. Luke Witten jumping to the top of the provisional standings at this stage as the drivers start filling out their first laps. Luke with a 1:35.4. That's a really good time around here. We'll go through the track conditions later, but it's only 24 degrees on track temp at the moment, so we should expect to see some very fast times, and the guys are already showing us that, Tim.
Yeah, wouldn't be at all surprised if the second lap comes round and the hot guys are in the 34. Speaking of which, Bill Fraser, lap 1, 1:34.9. Just pegs in a stunner, and if he's got a few tenths up his sleeve, no one's going to catch him. That's an amazing first lap.
That is an outstanding first lap. I mean, we just talk about getting in the 34s, and he's done it in his opening lap. That's an amazing lap. We might ride on board for a little while with Luke Witten on his second qualifying lap, see what he can pull out. We've just got a bit of comparison between Luke and Bill on the screen at the moment, and we'll see what Luke can pull out.
Yeah, Luke's a super good racer. He's plenty of skill, but I think he had a race against Bill earlier tonight, and I'd just be surprised if he could peg back that deficit. But as Fahim from the UK, Antonides, comes through to P2 on his first flying lap, less than 2 tenths off Bill, so a good first fly for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching Luke come round the final corner now on his second qualifying lap. I'd be surprised if he didn't duck into the 34s. In fact, he's done a 34.946, jumping up to the top of the standings just for the moment. We'll see what Bill can do in answer to that. And Dennis Johansson comes from nowhere. 34.8.
Dennis Johansson just come to show off.
Wow.
That's just ridiculous.
That's fantastic, and that'll be his first lap unless he picked up a 1x on his first and he's out on his second. But wow, I know Dennis has done an awful lot of racing here this week, and it'll be interesting to see what he makes of that. Bill Fraser has crossed the line on what would have been his second lap, so he may have in fact picked up an incident point and invalidated that lap, so he's down in P3. And Fahim, I think, coming round on his second flying lap because he went out a bit late. Let's see how he's tracking on this lap, see if he can move himself up the order a bit.
He gets a nice clean run through the last corner, picks up a bit of the ripple strip, not going to cost him any time really. Uses all the curb on the exit of the corner and makes his way up to the start-finish line for what looks like being a 34.6.
34.6.
That's good enough. That is absolutely good enough. No one's going to top that this late in the piece. I think Dennis has done 2 laps. Luke as well. Bill 1x'd his final lap. That's in the bag for Fahim.
Absolutely. Just seeing Håkon Grebstad come across the line now. He's currently in P9, well down the order by his standards. He's improved his lap by a couple of tenths, jumped up to P7, right behind Ben Snell and Daryl Ridley. What a fantastic time by Daryl. We know he's got spectacular pace, just tucked in there behind the series leader in Ben Snell and Bill Fraser, who dominated last week's race. Be interesting to see if Daryl can put on a strong performance here tonight and see what he can make of what is a top 5 start at this stage.
Yeah, look, it's pretty close from, you know, 5th, 6th and 7th. Actually, to be honest, until P, looks like 9, Troy Burgess, a handful of tenths behind Daryl, Ben, Håkon, Kevin and Svein as well. So that mid-pack little group, if they can hang on to the top 4, a few tenths off, but with a bit of draft, anything's possible. So you'd see a really good clean race, tight racing between the top, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars for the opening handful of laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kevin Henderson in 8 is the first guy outside of a second in that opening qualifying group. So tight times and fantastic times. If we take another look at those times, you know, 34.6 in a quali session around here is absolutely amazing. For him joining us for what is a rare Monday Night Lights appearance for him, and I know he'd like to do more. It's just the time zone obviously keeps him away. Perhaps he's got an RDO. Dennis Johansson, as I said, been racing a lot here this week. He'll be tough to beat, and there'll be a good race up front between that top 5, I think, with Ben Snell looking to get amongst it as well. It'll be fantastic to see. Speaking of which, why don't we look at our official grid now as that qualifying session comes to a close. Fahim Antoinitis with a fantastic 34.6 from the UK and Iron Club takes out pole tonight. Dennis Johansson from Scandinavia in second. Luke Whitten, leading Australian New Zealand club member here tonight with a 34.9 in third. Great result there for Luke. P4 was Bill Fraser, very strong in the last couple of weeks of Skippy racing. P5, Daryl Ridley looking to charge through and having a good result tonight. Ben Snell, current series leader and Monday Night Lights series leader in P6. Håkon Grebstad, semi-naturalised Australian coming over from Scandinavia in P7. Kevin Henderson. That's a good qualifying performance there from Kevin. He struggled a bit in quali lately. Good to see him inside the top 10. Svein Duas, apologies Svein, I butchered that. I've practiced and everything. He's in P9. P10, Troy Burgess, another strong local driver coming in for a guest appearance in Monday Night Lights. Adam Cohn in P11. Mick Gray, a regular to Monday Night Lights in P12, just inside the points as they line up. Jonathan Tussey in P13. Toshima Hanada in P14 from the Asia, Japanese club, Japanese boy he is, obviously. Alejandro Martin, apologies for that, P15. Dario Morales Brito in P16. Hopefully I'll get one of these names right eventually. Enzo Gassett from Australia in P17. Jason Willman, once again choosing not to qualify in P18 and P19. Simon Dopp rounds out our field tonight.
But I tell you what, I'm pumped to see how Billy Fraser's going to get through from 4. And it's not like he put together a bad lap, but it's tough to pass here. 11 turns and none of them are no long straight, no draft. That really, it's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic race tonight as they start getting ready. It's really close to the flag going live now, folks. The lights are up. Everyone grabs a gear. Red light comes on, folks. The cars are ready to go. And we're away in this round 5 of Monday Night Lights. Skip Barbers here at Laguna Seca. Lap 1 of 14 here tonight. And the cars seem to be all the way well. Seen a bit of false starting here during the week and people missing starts. Look at them flood down the hill, Tim. 4 and 5 wide. Can they make it work? Oh, it looks like Darryl might have taken a right-hand turn instead of a left there momentarily.
Yeah, Might have clipped Luke too. Interested to see whether Luke picked up any damage, but that was extremely close. As it looks like Bill got around the outside of Luke pretty convincingly around turn 1. Just so fortunate his race didn't end already because, yeah, Daryl, I'm not sure what he did. Maybe he had a wheel issue because he went straight off full speed into the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to pick up where Daryl is. I think he might have...
he's pulled the pin, disconnected. Looks like he had some technical dramas. That is certainly out of character for Daryl Ridley.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick up where it took place here. We're on board with Daryl now. As he comes down, looks like he might have got a touch from Hawkon in the rear, or just braked very late and then exit stage right. Better to exit stage right and ruin, just your night than take half the field with you. That's probably sensible driving from Daryl there. It's a shame to see him go, but he's done the right thing by the rest of the field there.
Yeah, he has, absolutely. And quite the gap the top 4 have got on Ben Snell, P5 at the moment. Sorry, Hawkon Grebstad's just hanging in there in P5, and then a modest gap back to the next group of cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those 4 had Daryl behind them, of course, and that incident looks to have created a gap as a result. Hawkon Grebstad in P5, he's sitting about 1.6 seconds behind, and will probably struggle to bridge that gap. The top 4 guys here, Fahim, Dennis, Bill and Luke, really, really top of their game. They can really blitz any field, let alone have them combined together, and no doubt racing pretty smart. Dennis Johansson here in P2, he's a really canny driver, very smart racer. Be interesting to see how he goes with Fahim tonight, Tim.
Yeah, he's going to have his hands full. As I said, it's just so difficult to pass, and really it's easy to defend turn 2 Andretti Heb. But the odd goal make it work around the outside, and it wouldn't surprise me if Dennis tried to make that move stick a number of times throughout this race.
Yeah, absolutely. As they run up the hill now, up the ray hole straight after the kink, they're heading into the corkscrew on lap 2. Looks like Dennis is just holding off there. Lovely ride down there, beautiful car control. Dennis runs some beautiful lines, uses the gearing of the car to control it for him, get the extra rotation. I've watched a few of his and actually been in a couple of his races this week, and it's just amazing what he can do behind the wheel of one of these cars, Tim.
Yeah, he changes gears like no one I've ever seen. Really gets the back through the gears quite comfortably, on the gas early, rotates nice and quickly, pops into the next gear probably before most other guys would. And yeah, he gets that car through the corner quicker than anyone I know. As he looks to make a run up the inside of Fahim, going to be close, backs out of it, takes out a cone on the way. I think he thought better of sticking it up the inside into turn 2. Yeah. As Fahim went to protect the line, but Bill's come right up behind him now too, as he looks to get involved in the lead little scrimmage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's right nose to tail. Now, Bill been very strong here in the Skippies this season. Of course, took out last week's events by a country mile. Luke Whitten really just trying to hang on the back of the draft there and make what he can. See if he can't stick in on board with these guys. If I just jump back, there's a battle developing. Looks like a 4-way now, led by Hawkon Grebstad, who's dropping back to the likes of Svein, Troy, and Kevin Henderson now getting in amongst it as they head up the hill into the kink at turn 6 once again on lap 3. This 4-way battle's really starting to shape up, Tim.
Yeah, Hawkon couldn't put together the last lap, 1 second slower than Svein, Troy, and Kevin. Hawald basically did 36 zeros, Hawkon a 37 flat. So I'm sure he'll get it together and try and maintain a bit of a lead. If he can keep, 8, 9 tenths, 1 second, I guess he's just outside that draft window. Fein's had a lot of racing this week. He's very, very consistent in the upper 20, 30 races every week. His skill has really come in leaps and bounds, so it wouldn't surprise me if he knows his track like the inside of his palm, and he'll put some pressure on Hawkon in the next couple of laps. Yeah,
absolutely. Side by side went Kevin Henderson and Troy Burgess as they went down the hill through the rainy curve. Nice driving by both of them to get through there unscathed, and Kevin looking to move up through the order. Now he's got Svein in his sights now. They had a small coming together last race, so it'll be interesting to see how they shape up this one and whether the dust has settled, so to speak. Jumping back up front, looks like Bill Fraser's nose to tail right on the gearbox of Dennis Johansson here, and that's I don't know whether that's playing on the mind of Dennis or not. Not, I think he's such a cool character. It probably isn't, but it looks like Fahim has broken just over half a second gap. As you see Dennis just wiggle a little bit wide there as they head up the hill. And
this is going to end in tears. Bill Fraser tries to put it up the inside. One of them has to compromise their engine. Neither do. Great racing side by side through turn 6. The left-hander Luke Whitten comes into play now as he tries to go around the outside. Gets out nice and early on the brakes. Doesn't want to ruin these guys' races. But look, it looks like a 1.4 second lead to Fahim now, as Dennis and Bill get caught up on each other. Haven't come together, but really, you know, the turn 5 through to 8A turn 9 has cost them quite a bit of time, as Fahim stretches the lead out to more than 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, going through the final corner now. Not the strongest or the best racecraft I've ever seen. Bill looking to get through, and the uphill kink there at turn 6 is fantastic driving, particularly by Dennis on the outside there to hang on to it and defend that position, as Bill now looks up the inside as they head down the bottom into the Andretti hairpin. Discretion being the better part of valour there, tucks in behind Bill, perhaps thinking, well, I don't think he'll think that Bill's got the pace better than he has to Fahim. No race driver likes to think like that, particularly the likes of Dennis and how competitive he is, but perhaps thinking that safety and getting through between them, they might be able to get back on Fahim, who at this stage has almost got out to a 1.5 second lead.
Yeah, it looks like Bill's taken a tenth out of him in the first handful of corners of this lap, but yeah, I don't think Dennis would like to admit, but I think Bill's got the wood on him at Laguna Seca. There's a lot of practice this week and is extremely quick. But let's see if these two can work together. A number of laps to go, 10 laps to go. Look, I think Bill's got the talent to be able to rein in that gap.
Yeah, well, hopefully for the sake of that group they can. Just jumping back now, riding on board with our current season leader, Ben Snell, who's tucked in behind Mick Gray as they head up the hill on lap 5, and just in behind them, Adam Cohn, making it another three-way battle. This group of racers looking to battle in 3s and 4s here tonight, which of course makes the racing really great for us to watch at home. These guys putting on a good show as Ben and Mick hop down through the corkscrew now through the rainy curve as they head down to close out lap 5, Tim.
Yeah, Mick Gray representing the Aussie colours, the gold and green holding off Ben Snell at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised if Ben gets right up under the rear wing and goes to make a move as we head towards the start-finish line.
Yeah.
He moves to the left, under the bridge. Looks like Mick's made that all too easy, giving him all the room he needs. I think he knows Ben's got plenty of pace, and if he latches onto the back, that they are every chance of moving forward and catching Troy and elbows out Kevin Henderson.
Hey, look, I don't know how much racing Ben's done tonight or this week. In fact, he normally does the race before this to warm up. He wasn't there tonight, so he might be a little bit underdone. Surprising to see him down in P9. But Mick there, letting him through across the line. Mick's one of the smartest racers I know in terms of his racecraft and his race IQ. So I think you're right there, letting Ben through and hopefully hanging on to the back of him to see how much further they can progress.
Yeah, interestingly, looking back up the front, Bill took 1/10 through the lap over Fahim and also pulled a small gap on Dennis. So I think Dennis was right in letting Bill through, causing too much grief as he hunts down for P1. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see whether or not that horse has bolted, though. I mean, they had that racy moment heading up the hill on lap 4, I think it was, and that really cost them a bucket of time between these four. That's just so hard to chase back. For him, the rabbit out in front. With Bill now, yeah, you're right. He's certainly Dennis is still within the draft, but looks like Bill might have a K or two of pace on him around this circuit.
Oh, difficult to say. I just saw Fahim flash up with a 1:34.266. Thinking, wow, that is ridiculous, and then Bill comes through with a 1:44.226, 400s quicker than Fahim, but that's not a lot of margin made up in every lap, and we're quickly going to run out of them if Bill can't find a good couple of tenths every single lap.
Yeah, well, that gap's been about 1.4 seconds throughout, so it's throughout the last couple of laps as we take a look at those gaps now. from the leader for him back to Bill Fraser is 1.4, and that's been pretty consistent over the last couple of laps since Bill got in front. But again, you can see the gap between Bill and Dennis starting to open up a little bit. That I don't know if that'll be concerning Dennis. He doesn't look like he's carrying any damage at the moment. Perhaps, look, not for lack of practice. It might just be that Bill's got the pace tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Bill just looks completely at home at Laguna Seca today, and I wonder whether Dennis, obviously he's not really out of sorts, but just, you know, 2-3 tenths off a lap, and that's only like a tiny bit of time through the corkscrew and not quite getting the perfect run through the uphill left-hander, which is turn 6. But I wonder what sort of pressure Luke could put on Dennis for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, okay, so the word from our viewers tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us and giving us some updates. Of course, Dennis Johansson also does stream on Twitch, and the word there is that he did cop a bit of damage on the last corner of one of the laps that they went through. So that would explain that sort of sudden drop off, if you like, and the fact that he should easily hold this in the draft. So that does explain a lot. It's an unfortunate incident there, but looks like he could still hang on for a good result, and certainly he's in a battle with Luke Whitten, if nothing else.
Yeah, interestingly, just having a look at Dennis's car a bit more closely, it looks like he's clobbered the turn 6 left-hander, which is what the wing damage really suggests, because if you hit the inside ripple strip, you're almost going to rip the front end off the car. The height of that curb is pretty significant, and that is conducive to the damage that Dennis has got on board of that car today, and that's certainly going to affect his times.
Yeah, absolutely. That gap between Fahim Antoinides and Bill Fraser's come down, with Bill Fraser setting an outstanding time of 34 dead, if you can believe it. That's an amazing. So he's certainly out chasing that rabbit at the moment, Tim.
Yeah, truth be told, mate, I've never seen anyone crack into the 33s, but always Fahim gets a slowdown through the S's. Bill runs around the outside. Dennis comes up right behind him. That's gonna make him pretty upset. Hasn't got rid of it yet as Dennis slots up the inside turn number 10. Easy pickings. You can't afford to take a shortcut through the corkscrew, turn 8 and turn 8A. And Fahim, it almost looked like he had it in the bag. Back in P4 now as Luke slots on past as well.
Well, doesn't that make a race of it? Dennis Johansson, he'll be defending for all he's worth with these two behind him in Luke and Fahim. Look at him taking the defensive line. Luke trying to go around the outside, using every bit of the track and more. Fahim ducking through the inside there, hoping to take Luke, but
Sticks the nose up.
Yeah, but Luke will have the inside running into the subsequent corner at turn 3. And makes it and holds on to that position and tucks in behind Dennis once again. Now, based on the laps that we saw before, Dennis, with the damage that he's carrying, doesn't have the pace at this stage to catch Bill. So, you know, it makes you wonder what the two guys behind Dennis will be doing to get by him at this stage. And as you say, very disappointing for Fahim to have picked up that slowdown.
Yeah, Fahim's going to be kicking himself behind the wheel as he knows he's got the pace over these two, reeling off the low 34s, and his best lap time's a good few tenths quicker than Luke, and 4-5 tenths quicker than Dennis as Luke goes to the outside up into the corkscrew. Late on the brakes, very, very sideways. Looks like he's going to lose it. May hit Fahim very, very close there. Looks like Luke didn't quite spin, lost a lot of time, and he's well and truly out of the fight for P2 and 3, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, as we ride here with Luke as he came up in the corkscrew, made a very bold move around the outside. Then the rear looks to have stepped out on him, and he's done well to hang on to that and not impact the other guys racing with him. But that certainly cost him every chance that he had of competing for that podium spot, I suggest, at this stage.
Yeah, and talking to Luke before the race, he felt he was pretty content with how the car was handling, and comfortable with it through the heavy braking areas, so that he wound the bias back a click to 51, which is almost unheard of on the skippies, but I think that's what's caught him out through the corkscrew.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. We were talking to him about it, and I said that personally I feel that the rear end around this place is pretty unstable, but he adjusted the spring perch and the brake bias forward, but you know, I agree with you. I think that's potentially caught him out there, which is a real shame. But ducking back behind now, just riding on board with Svein, he's in a battle now with Håkon Grebstad. as they head up towards turn 6, the kink up the hill here up the Rahal Straight. And Svine's putting all sorts of pressure over the back of Hawkon. Again, I don't know if he picked up any damage in that that incident that Darrell had. I know they were very close in proximity terms at the start of the race there, but certainly Hawkon did talk to me earlier, said he felt he was a bit down on pace here this week, and certainly Svine's done a lot of racing, so it'll be interesting to see how that one shapes up.
Oh, it's looking pretty close in front of Hawkon, actually. Not sure who that is. Might be Dennis, in fact. It was Dennis. He's hit something, taken the front wing off altogether, and ducks down the pit lane. Going to use his fast repair to full effect. Struggling to find out where he got it wrong, actually. It looks like trying to get through the corkscrew.
Yeah, I'm just on board with Dennis at the moment. Again, it was Fahim going around to the outside as they came up the Rahal Straight into the corkscrew. Fahim's on the outside just as Luke had done the lap before. Dennis taking the defensive line. And it looks like, yeah, Fahim has just caught him in the rear as they went through the corkscrew. They were wheel to wheel, and of course, as we know, wheel to wheel in these cars doesn't go so well. And Dennis has now made his way after his second incident for the race. Oh, he's showed some brilliant car control all the way to the pits, but now he's been through his pits now and he's back out on track.
Yeah, he'd be pretty upset with that. And actually, looking through a couple of corners earlier, looks like he lost the front end completely through the turn 6 left-hander. As he makes a move past Ben Snell, who's got an awful lot of rear wing damage that's going to compromise his speed around this track. Dennis is going to work pretty hard to make up a number of positions. As he, where is he? P10. You know, Dennis, with anything's possible with him. Though, wouldn't surprise me if the next handful of laps he's able to make his way back up to catch Mick, who's a handful of seconds up in front of him up the road. But that'd settle him back in P7. I think a reasonable result, considering the damage and the fast repair.
Interestingly, I was just watching Troy Burgess, that he pulled over on that group and is running very slowly around. Oh, he must have picked up some big damage because he's struggling to make his way back to the pits there. We might try and catch that, what happened to Troy later on in the race. But yeah, as you say, Dennis Johansson, probably not too many laps. He's only got, the balance of 3 laps now remaining to get back some spots there. But he's got a couple in front of him. Alejandro in P8 looks like he might be a likely target. Mick Gray's probably a bit too far up the road. And after that incident, the battle to watch now is for P4 and 5 with Fine and Hawkon. As they're battling out for positions 4 and 5, as I was just saying, because the front 3 have really spread out now after that series of incidents.
Yeah, a bit boring up the front. Bill's absolutely got it in the bag, unless something catastrophic happens like a slowdown through the corkscrew. But for him, reasonable effort in getting back up through the field. Kind of fell his way a little bit after that big slowdown. So yeah, the action's back through P4 and 5 with Hawkon and Fine as they approach the corkscrew now. I think it's fine to be pretty content to sit behind Hawkon. I know he's had a rough week behind the wheel. I think he'd be really pleased with a very good haul of points, but you never really know. I think these guys are fellow countrymen, perhaps. So interested to see who's playing out for top honours there.
Yeah, certainly from the same club, if not the same country. Not sure what Svine's country is. I know Hawkon's from Norway, and certainly Svine looks to be brandishing those colours, if nothing else. So interesting to see how those two play out for 4th and 5th. Just the 3/10 separating them as they come down into the turn 2 hairpin for the start of lap 13.
Yeah, haven't seen Svine really make any inroads, though. He's been consistently that 3, 4, 5 tenths behind, but hasn't really ever got up right under the rear wing and put some pressure on Hawk. Try and get him to make a mistake, find out where he's that little bit slower and where he can make a move. But now's the time to do it. Second last lap of the race, and we're quickly running out of corners to make good of that opportunity.
Yeah, we've just lost Dennis Johansson. I'm just going to try and find a replay of what happened. He's come down. I don't know if he's run out of incident points or what. I'm just trying to find when he's still on the service. Yeah, he's run wide there and
picked up and off track. and he popped it in the wall on the left.
Yeah, I think he's run out of incident points there. I know Dennis can float pretty close to the wire with that, but that's a real shame for Dennis there. I have to say, a couple of the incidents, certainly not of his making, added to that tally. Was good tight driving, but he'll be terribly disappointed with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Laguna's that sort of track because, as I said, the drafting opportunities aren't massive. If you're within that 1 second window, you can hang on. There's a little bit there for you. But if you're not, you're probably going to use those 1Xs more often than not, get a wheel off in the dirt to try and find that little bit of time. But yeah, Dennis will be furious. It's going to cost him a lot of points and not help him in the iRacing Championship, but I guess more importantly, the coveted M&L Championship.
Yeah, that's right. He's just popped in chat to say that going too wide on the outside of the corkscrew is not the race smartest thing that anyone will ever do. And I have to say I can't disagree with him, to be honest. And it was tried twice on him tonight unsuccessfully. One time he got through and the other time his luck ran out. But hopping on board now with Bill Fraser for his final lap around here at Laguna Seca tonight. He's well out in front, 2 seconds even pretty much in front of Fahim Antoniadis, who's just heading through the kink now on his final lap around, with Luke Whitten about 7 seconds behind in P3. They've really spaced out after what looked to be shaping up as a really close battle up front. But I think there's some racecraft in there that the guys won't necessarily look back on too fondly, but yeah, I mean, Dennis, the big loser in the end from that, as Bill comes around through the final series of corners here at round 5 of Monday Night Lights, rounding the final corner now to take out 2 weeks in a row here for Bill. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, just on fire. And as I said at the start, I don't know how he was going to make it happen, but he showed the rest of them the pace he had and got the win pretty comfortably in the end. The battle for 4th and 5th, Håkon Grebstad, I think, pretty pleased to get P4 ahead of Svein Tore Duarte. And a couple of positions further back is Mick Gray and Alejandro Martin having their battle, but looks like Mick has that one in the bag too.
Yeah, Kevin Henderson finished just in front of him, P6. Great result for Kevin. He's been struggling a bit in the last few rounds, and then a tight battle with Alejandro and Ben Snell, who crosses the line in P9, Dario in P10. Just looking for Jason and Toshimasa Hanada here, battling it out for the final 2 positions, scoring positions in Monday Night Lights here tonight, finishing 11th and 12th respectively. Good drives from those guys. Of course, Jason often chooses not to qualify, and tonight he's got into the point, so he's done very well. Just watching Jonathan Tussey now. Didn't see much of Jonathan tonight on track. He's finishing out his race night and will be our last guy on track. So well done to Jonathan, and thanks for joining us. Now I might just run us through the final results here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on Jason Woolman, what a great result to have made it through to P11, starting from the back. That's fantastic. I'd be pretty proud if I were him tonight. Yeah,
look, in such a quality field, he's done remarkably well. Just looking at our results tonight for round 5 here at Laguna Seca. First, of course, tonight, Bill Fraser. Fantastic drive from Bill. Kept his nose clean, although it might have been a bit of contact here and there, I think, early on in the race, but certainly showed a clean pair of heels when the business end came around. Fahim Antoniadis picked up that unfortunate slowdown and then subsequently had the incident with Dennis, but still managed to hang on to P2. Luke Whitten kind of got his elbows out early, recovered from that spin that he had to finish in 3rd tonight. Great result for Luke. Håkon Grebstad hanging on for 4th in front of compatriot Svein Tore Duarte. Apologies, Svein. Rounding out your top 5. Fantastic result for both those guys who've put in solid efforts tonight. Kevin Henderson, his best result in some time, finishing in P6. And he's up a couple of positions from where he qualified. Mick Gray, great result for Mick. Kept his head when others were losing theirs, up 5 spots into P7. Alejandro Martin from Iberia, he's in P8, up 7 spots, another great drive. Ben Snell lost 3 positions, had an eventful race. We didn't catch too much of Ben tonight, finishing in P9, securing a few more points to help him in the championship overall. Dario Morales Brito from Iberia, he's up 6 spots and finished in 10th. Moving on to the second page of the grid, Jason Willman in 11th. Great drive, up 7 positions to get in the points. Toshimasa Hanada, just pipped by Jason, up 2 spots himself into the final point scoring position for Monday Night Lights. Adam Cohn in P13. Jonathan Tussey in P14. Enzo Gassett. Great to see Enzo Gassett back on track. It's not the great Enzo Cantor, but Enzo's a local boy that I've driven with before and lots of fun to race with. Good result for him tonight, up a couple of positions from where he qualified. Disappointing on a big scale for Dennis Johansson tonight. Very, very competitive. I wouldn't put much of goings on down to him tonight, just unfortunate racing incidents. Troy Burgess in P17. Interesting. Troy is a pretty quick guy that I've driven before. It might just lack a bit of seat time in the skips. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have been further up the field. Simon Dopp in P18. And Darryl Ridley, after that unfortunate exit stage right, rounding out the tail end of this 19-car field, Tim.
Yeah, disappointing. The first corner for Darryl. I'm sure he'll be pretty upset about that. Particularly after qualifying 5th, which is such a great effort.
Yeah.
As always, next week, I'm sure he'll be back bigger and better.
Yeah, absolutely. I've raced quite a bit with Darryl, and I know he's got outstanding pace, leaves me for dust. He just struggles sometimes with a bit of consistency on track, and historically had some network issues, which didn't help him either. So, unfortunate exit for him early on after such great qualifying, as you say. Now we've got a couple of drivers in the green room. We might grab them, as is our usual way to do, in finishing order. And to start with, I'll bring up Fahim Antonitis. Fahim, Alex McKellar here in the RRTV commentary booth, mate. Congratulations on a great result tonight. Thank you for joining us. I know this time slot is not particularly conducive for you. How was the racing out there tonight?
Was great. Unfortunately, the driver in my car wasn't watching what he was doing through the corkscrew, so I got a slowdown penalty, and to 4th. Luke made a mistake going into the same complex. I think the next lap round, and he spun, but he managed to get it together. I tried to pass Dennis into the corkscrew. I'm not sure what happened, because I got 0 times contact at my end, and when I looked at the replay again, he seemed to be a good foot away from my car. So it looked like netcode. It's like, because I'm usually at the receiving end of netcode contact, and what usually happens is that one of the cars gets off scot-free and the other one gets completely destroyed. So I would imagine that's what happened to him. It's unfortunate, and I'm very sorry that it had to end that way. But other than that, I think Bill really deserves the mistakes. He had the pace. He's the reigning UK and I champion, so he's a tough cookie. But I enjoyed the last couple of laps trying to rein him in.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You were on the outside there, and from what I saw, there was a bit of netcode involved, but certainly tough to get done around the outside there. I thought you guys gave, good racing room there, and just unfortunately the wheel-to-wheel happened there. Otherwise, though, the slowdown there cost you, as you say, big time. But that was a real shame. It's a fine line when you go through there, and I don't know. Were you able to keep the rear in check? I know the conditions were pretty good out there, but is that what brought you unstuck through the corkscrew there?
I got a little bit of understeer going into the first part of the corkscrew, the left-hander, and that pushed me too far right on the other side of the track for the right-hander. And obviously, I tried to counter steer as well to try and get the car back in check, but it just meant that I was a little bit too far to the right of the track in taking the right-hand section of the chicane, and that was just enough to get me over the cutting the corner limit. So it was only by a small margin, but it was enough to kill my race.
Yeah,
but like I say, the winner is going to be the one who makes the least amount of mistakes. So Bill thoroughly deserves that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had that 1.5 seconds, 1.3 second lead. We were questioning whether Bill could could rein you in. He's got a lot of pace. Of course, he took out this event last week as well. He's sort of taken us a bit by storm, and hearing that he's the current UK&I club champion as well, it sort of goes a bit to help us understand why. But I'll hand you over to Mr. Tim Gorkrocher, who joins me here in the commentary tonight, to see what questions he's got for you.
Yeah, thanks,
Cheers, Alex. Nice talking to you.
Thanks,
and congratulations on an amazing lap in qualifying. A little bit disappointed from our end because we talked you up so much. Thought, it's almost in the bag.
First, then.
Let's write his name on the trophy already, because that lap in quali was amazing. But I guess probably the pressure from Bill, because he's relentless in the experience I've had with him. You can't
exactly.
You just can't drive away from the guy. It's just not going to happen, and he doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't make any mistakes. He's 15 years old, so he's what is that?
He's got reflexes far better than yours and mine put together.
I think so. I mean, I'm 35 years older than him. Or is it? No, 30 years older, thank God.
Yeah.
But that's enough. I mean,
Don't talk yourself down, mate. He's he's extremely talented. But look, you had a faster lap than him tonight, just a little bit unlucky in the corkscrew. And obviously with Luke getting sideways, I was on board with Luke as that happened. And a little bit unfortunate, but that is the way the racing happens here. It is a tight, difficult track. And to finish 2 seconds behind Bill with a slowdown, getting caught up in someone else's incident, and perhaps a little bit of damage with the netcode with Dennis, to finish 2 seconds behind Bill, mate, it's a fantastic effort. And I'd be pretty pleased if I were you.
Well, I am actually, and at that point I knew there was no way I could win the race, but I did enjoy. For us old boys, I tried to reel in Bill as much as possible for our honour, and I think we accomplished a little bit of that. We reeled him in towards the end. Although the last lap, I think he eased off because he didn't want to make any mistakes going into that corkscrew chicane complex either. I mean, what was his? The lap times was fairly similar, were they?
Yeah, extremely close. His best was just over 1/10 slower than yours, but you two were rattling off. Low 134s pretty well through the whole race, So when you're able to drive so close to your best lap time, if your average lap is 5 to 6 tenths slower than your best, then sure, the opportunity for you to make up some grounds there, but when you drive so close to the edge for the final 6-7 laps, all you can do is hope he makes a mistake. Cross your fingers. And tonight that obviously wasn't enough. Bill got the win, but a great effort, as I said.
Yeah, well, you know more than anyone, Tim, how it works, and that was exactly right. Just trying to pile on the pressure and hope that he reciprocates the mistake that I made, because then at that point
it's easy enough. You weren't the first to put a wheel off through the corkscrew and get a slowdown penalty. So, interestingly, what did it cost you? 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds?
No, I wasn't looking at what it cost me. All I was thinking of is, right, let's just knuckle down now and focus and try and get as far ahead as possible. But, I think I was over, I can tell you, once I cleared Dennis, it's about almost 4 seconds behind Bill, who managed to finish closer than that. But like I say, I think he slowed down just to make sure he had margin, so he could afford to take it easy. The lap times were close towards the end, so it was a good old chase, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to be careful here because it's so easy to pick up those off tracks. And in the end, we saw Dennis. He binned the car, put it in the wall, but we think that he ran out of incident points too, having clocked up, 17 or whatever the limit is. So, you've always got to be cautious, and I guess you're right on the edge of getting the wheel off track, but that is the fast way around,
It's, obviously you've got the danger with a corkscrew, and then you've got, it's notorious for off tracks, and if you don't watch it, you can easily get off tracks pretty much all over the place. And so that's what happened to Dennis. I thought he quit because of damage after our coming together, but it sounds like he, I think I was on 10 out of 17 incident points towards the end. But that's just the nature of this track. You just can't get away with, if you're really pushing hard, you're not going to end this race with no incident points. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, fair to say that if you do that, you're not going hard enough. I think that's what it comes down to.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us here, Fahim. It's very much appreciated,
Pleasure.
mate. And is there, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Ask me that question. It was at the end of a 2K Cup race. And Jake Sperry asked me if I wanted to give a shout out to any sponsors on my team. And I mentioned that, well, I would like to, but I don't have a sponsor or a team. And as luck would have it, Thrustmaster Movano Racing Team were listening. So they approached me. And I don't know whether you noticed or if my colors were showing, but I'm racing under my new team, Thrustmaster Racing Movano. They've just started. I mean, they were ranked 8th best team in 2017, sim racing team, by Sim Racing Observer. But that was before they won the 24-hour Le Mans. So I'm sure that ranking will go up. And for this year, they've decided to open up a Skid Barber division. I was listening. It's not easy to get in, but if you think you can cut it. We want to try and build an elite Skip Barber team. So, get in touch. But thank you to my new team.
That's brilliant, mate. I'm glad to hear you got a good, strong drive there. And yeah, I heard about their 24-hour win just recently. So that's great to see them reaching out into the Skippy community. And I'm sure they'll find a lot of good talent in there because as we know, there's a lot of it floating around, mate. So congratulations on the result again. And thank you once again for joining us.
It's a pleasure talking to you guys.
There you go, Tim. That's,
well, mate, just on what Fahim said, Alex, personally, mate, I think there's a great opportunity for you personally in that team. And one thing we didn't get is the email address to send the resumes to.
I'll, next time he's on, I'll make sure I ask for
him.
it.
Yeah,
that's it. All right. The other person won't hear the green room is our current series leader, Ben Snell, so I'll bring him up for a chat. Mr. Ben Snell, Alex McKellar here from RRTV, mate. Welcome to the commentary booth. Perhaps not the race result you were looking for, but I suggest you're in the points, so you're probably still leading the championship at this stage, mate.
Oh, it sounds just like last week, doesn't it? How you going, guys?
Good, mate. So how was the racing out there for you tonight, mate? P9, just a whisker behind Alejandro in P8. Much happen out there? Looked perhaps a little bit eventful for you?
Oh, man, I was like a yo-yo that race.
It's up and down, you say. So the elbows out tonight, or was it just a matter of making your own mistakes?
Well, when Daryl lagged out at the start, he basically drove through turn 2 in front of me, and I freaked out because I was like, I'm going to hit him. So I've run really wide. As I've come back through, I've touched wheels with, I think it was Jason. But it's just hit me enough to spit me out sideways, and it was enough to spin me around. So I went back to last, and then got back up to 8th, and then I spun in turn 6 and went back to like 11th. And then went forwards a little bit. So, full yo-yo.
Yeah, that's a real shame, mate. I know that Daryl had qualified exceptionally well, and then to see him exit stage right the way he did was not great. It sounds like it had a decent impact on your race too, mate. So that's no good. But I'll hand you over to Tim to see what insights he can gather.
Yeah, Benny, how you doing, mate?
Good, yourself?
Disappointed to see you couldn't get the win tonight.
Oh, yeah, no, I had no...
It's a
not
tough,
with these UK boys.
I know, aren't they on fire? And obviously they took out P1, P2, what's this, 4, 5, 8. I mean, they're not leaving much for us Aussies, but now look, I think a pretty good drive, all things considered, with a couple of spins to end up in P9. You'd be pretty pleased with that, but I did notice quite a bit of rear wing damage. Who punted you from the back?
I think it was just... I got a little bit of netcode damage from that touch at the start because it was like driving a sprint car all night. I was basically just backing it into every corner, every braking zone.
That would suit you pretty well with a bit of drift history.
Counter steer helps, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's not quick. It looks good.
No, not at all. It's not quick at all.
But look, I think next week, a pretty special track for everyone. We're out at the Nordschleife. Have you had a crack out there already? And are you looking forward to next week?
I drove it last time. It was in the skip, but that was however long ago that was. But I like the Nürburgring. It's good fun. You'd bounce off curbs and bounce off walls, and sometimes you finish.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting place, but I think it's only 4 or so laps or 3 laps of the Nordschleife, so it's going to be an interesting interesting place to race. I think around 8 to 9 minutes is if you're somewhere in there, you've done okay and haven't binned it. So
yeah, it'll be it's going to be weird because you're going to be driving the Nordschleife, but it's going to be a draft track, so there's going to be a lot of pack racing, I reckon.
I'm looking forward to it. I didn't spend much time on the sim last week. I'm guaranteed to this week, so it should be a good one. And next week's call, this time next week, should be pretty hectic. I think we'll have a huge crowd.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us here, Ben. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you head on your way tonight?
Oh, just in general, you guys. Thanks to Bernie for. Was he behind the reins today? I saw he was in the chat.
No, he's having a night off, mate. Just got the heels kicked up on the couch, leaving us. I don't know why he keeps doing it, mate, but he's let us free in the booth again. So yeah, I agree, mate. Big shout out to Bernie.
You're getting better, Alex. I've been watching them back, and you've been improving. Apart from the old dragon drops you forgot to cover up.
Oh, I tell you what, it couldn't get much worse.
Come on, Ben. Take it easy.
Yeah. No,
you've got feelings too, you know.
Yeah, you had the wrong Tim in the booth last week as well.
I know what's going on there. All right, mate. Well, thanks again, and I would suggest you're still up front and certainly leading the Aussie charge in the championship, if not, mate. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, likewise. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Benny.
All right, before we wrap things up, just a shout out to the guys who are in the second split tonight, and thank you for Les Peck for once again sending those results through. Ben Seidel, I should learn how to pronounce his name correctly. Welcome return to the second to the Monday Night Lights second split tonight. He's taken the whole thing out. Congratulations to Ben. Another regular in Ken Himes in second place. That's a great result for Ken. Congratulations. Matt Wright and Mads Mattisville in P3 and 4 respectively. And first to the Team Venom drivers, Mark Jeffrey in P5. Another good result for Mark there. All of them snagging good points in the Monday Night Lights championship. Unfortunately, Les himself looks like he's had an eventful race down in P12. Did grab some points, it has to be said, but then Brad Parkin, who from memory was sitting third in the championship, he was relegated to the second split after losing a hatful of points in the previous race, iRating. Of course, an iRating is what you qualify in to get into this race, and he's finished last in that. So it'll be interesting to see how the points shake out after that, Tim.
Yeah, unlucky for him. He's done reasonably lately, and I'm sure he'll be pretty upset with a DNF. That doesn't do anything to help the series, and obviously not a good, you go pretty backwards in the iRacing stakes, quite quickly. So there's always next week, though. I'm sure he'll, hopefully, with some good races through the week, find himself back up in the top split.
Yeah, hopefully be back bigger and better and jagging some points in the top split, as you say. Now, for the remainder of this week, just recapping our race results for tonight. Bill Fraser, of course, in P1. Fantastic drive from Bill, and it looks like he's got a good thing going this season in both the Monday Night Lights and the Skippies in general. For him, Antoinides putting on a good performance, joining us, a welcome addition to Monday Night Lights in P2. Luke Witten rounding out your podium tonight, so congratulations to those guys. This week coming up in RRTV land on Wednesday night, get your Speedway fix for the Australian Speedway League. That's a fantastic event if you haven't seen it. Check that out on Wednesday night. Several races on offer there with the qualifiers, the heats and the main finals. They're great to watch. On Thursday night, the ANZ ANSCAR Series bringing you some awesome NASCAR action again if you like your oval racing, this time on the tarmac. Nothing better on a Thursday night. On Friday Friday, the Australian Online Supercar Championship, AOSC, for all your V8 supercar needs. And on Saturday, it's a massive night with the final round of the Oceanic GT Series, followed up in a double header with the Sim Racer Asia GT3 Championship. So if you enjoy your tin tops and the GT style racing, make sure you check those out. So as you can see, Tim, RRTV has all your bases covered in this coming week. And right before, as you say, you come back to Monday night to join us here for Monday Night Lights, where we have the Skippies once again, but next week from the amazing Nordschleifer track. How do you reckon these machines will go tackling the green hell, mate?
Matt, I'd love to have an opinion, but I'm looking at an image of the track on Google and the names of the corners, and we're in for the worst call in the history of calls.
So I'm just going to set the expectations of our viewing audience, such as it is. There won't be corner names next week.
I don't even think there'll be numbers.
Well, there's 160-something corners, mate.
154. How do you keep track of that?
I don't. That's the simple answer. I don't keep track
Anyway,
of it,
it should be an absolute cracker. With some big numbers, this track, a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah,
next Monday night is going to be awesome.
I think it'll be a popular race week in general in the Skippies. It's a very popular track, and if history serves, it's very popular with the Skippy drivers. So, and every time it's on, the race grids are full. So, what's on in the week of Tim Gorkrocha?
Oh, not too much racing, I don't think. Honest, I'll be brushing up on those names. I haven't raced the Nordschleife since the Gran Turismo days back in the day, but no, I'll get a couple of races here and there. A bit on Saturday when all the internationals are racing Friday night for a bit of fun, and that's about it. Nothing too serious. Just a few laps around the Nordschleife.
Beautiful, and that'll take a couple of hours in of itself, no doubt. Just
those
couple of laps.
That's after several hours of practice.
Yeah, that's right. As for me, folks, you can of course check out all the action on Top Split TV over at Twitch. We'll be racing at least Friday and Saturday nights for the Friday night race club, and the Saturday night Bathurst 200, which is always a crowd favourite. So join us over there, and of course the latest episode of the podcast out with the man behind the Friday night race club, Mr. Brian Sheridan, is also available at thetopsplit.com. But until next time, folks, and on behalf of Tim Gorkrocha, I've been your host, Alex McKellar, and we'll be signing off. And ciao for now.